Welcome to the Crystal Coach Show with me, your host, Anahata, helping you live every day with clarity, guidance, and practical wisdom. Are you feeling overwhelmed, anxious, maybe disconnected? Do you ever feel like you don't know how to live a life of peace and joy? I am Anahata Roach, the Crystal Coach, and during this show, we channel divine wisdom through stories of service, spirituality, and stones for self-care. The Crystal Coach Show leaves you with a feeling of connection and the clarity it takes towards becoming the best version of yourself as you hear from thought leaders and many others to help you ignite the crystalline nature of who you really are. Stay tuned. The Crystal Coach Show starts now. Well, hello and welcome to the Crystal Coach Show. I'm your host, Anahata, and I'm delighted that you have joined me for yet another episode. And it's in the new year now of 2024, timestamp. And I'm talking today, you might have seen the title and going, I don't know if I want to really listen to this because the title is When It's Time to Say Goodbye. But I'm not necessarily talking about what would be represented in the tarot deck as the death card. I'm talking about transformation and change. The new year is a really great time to take stock of just how far you've come, where you want to go, and well, you can see where you are now. But it's a time to close the door on the past and that part of your life that no longer serves you, so that you can begin something new and more meaningful. I know this can be both painful and healing, but when is growth ever easy? When is transformation and change ever easy? But it's also a time for you to find a more authentic and aligned way to be in the world. Today, I want to share some stories about surrender and faith and loss and just faith in new beginnings too, because that's what I've been experiencing for the past 5 to 7 years. And so now I feel like this year is really ripe with possibilities. What does the new year hold for you? So as usual, we'll talk for a while and then I'll have some recommendations for crystals and stones that might be good to have with you to support this new beginning after we let go of what is no longer needed. So I mentioned the tarot card, the death card in the tarot deck. I don't use tarot cards, but I'm not afraid of the death card if I was to get a reading and that showed up, because it doesn't really necessarily mean mortality. In fact, just the opposite. It means opportunity, transformation, change, the letting go of just exactly what I was talking about. So while that might seem scary to some people, change is scary. You know, I've talked to you about before that the ego being created to take care of the body. The ego, when the body no longer functions, the ego is no longer needed, and it too dissipates. And so it's always afraid. It's afraid of change. It wants to keep the body safe. Anything, it wants status quo all the time. No difference, no difference. Remember, I've talked to you about how when I woke up, it was like as if I had been living my life in a box, and I was really comfortable in that box. I didn't see any reason to get out of that box, and I certainly knew every nook and cranny. The universe had a different path for me. The lid came off the box one day, and a letter came down. What's going on? but I'm such a curious person. I had to climb the ladder to find out. I was like, what's going on? This happened to me as more like a vision, but I'm kind of giving you as this as a metaphor. I climbed the ladder and I looked around and there was this vast space. And I was like, oh my God, there's a whole nother universe out here. I wasn't aware of because I was so comfortable in my box. It was very painful to get out and leave that box. My marriage almost fell apart because I wasn't, as my husband put it at the time, he said, you're not the woman I married. And I said, well, no, I think I'm becoming a better person than the woman you married. But he was really, really upset that his box had been rattled because I got out of mine. And we had some difficult times in order for me to change and transform into someone who was awake and aware and who could speak to others about the light that they are and hold space for the light that they are becoming. And you are one. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast. You wouldn't be watching this podcast if you weren't someone who resonates with this subtle message. There's transformation and change going on, and you might feel uncomfortable. You might look at what's going on out in the world. My God, do you know? I think I read somewhere there's like over 90 countries in the world that are going to have some kind of governmental change this year. It's huge. That's like almost the entire population. No, it's not. It's a huge fraction of the population of the earth. So there's this energy of uncertainty, of being on pins and needles, of what do I do? What do I do? Of fear. And what you need to know is that you may you may look at it, but you don't have to be in it. You can feel the feelings and but understand that what's going on is a bigger picture than what this narrow focus you have. You know, we're all just like walking around with blinders on because that's the program. Because we're not supposed to be able to see just how vast and expansive that we are ourselves, and that our light shines when we allow it. I've had so many readings in the past couple of weeks, giving a kind of a snapshot of the year ahead for my clients, where you have this challenge to not hide your light under a barrel. There's an ongoing theme here of being aware that you're so much more than what your five senses can tell you. I didn't lose my marriage, but there was a very difficult few years there where I felt like I had lost my best friend, that the person I married that I felt so very close to was no longer someone who could support me emotionally for this path that I had been led on. And so it was a difficult time in my life. When I'm talking about things that you can look at, that you can leave behind in the next year, or just know that this no longer serves me, try holding space for whatever's changing in your life to be accomplished with grace, ease, and love. When you get to a place where you feel there's no longer any kind of resolution, I have to act, I have to leave. I can't, I cannot tolerate this anymore. If you are holding space for things to be resolved with grace, ease, and love, the universe may have something else in order to fix this that you can't even imagine. I mean, I wouldn't wish this experience on anyone else, but I'll share with you that I was making plans to leave my husband. I was literally, I had some place to go. I had someone who was, a girlfriend who'd said, I've got an extra room. You you come live here. I was really very close to that close. And my husband and I were out to dinner with some other folks, and he choked on a piece of meat. It went down his windpipe and blocked it. And it was terrifying. I felt that his spirit was saying to me, is this what you wanted? And I'm like, no, 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 this is not what I wanted. And as soon as I said that, these men appeared and they said, get out of the way, we're doctors. And they took him and they worked on him and they worked on him and they pounded his back and they held him upside down, and he'd already passed out for lack of air. And they worked and worked. Of course, the longer your brain is without oxygen, the more damage can happen. And it was almost 4 minutes. And I heard somebody say, is there still a heartbeat? And I was like, oh, God, this is not what I wanted. And suddenly, I don't know quite what happened, but the meat dislodged and he was able to get air and he came back and everything shifted. And the man that came back was the man that I married, not this critical, picky, hard to get along with, mean guy that didn't like who I was becoming. It was the same guy I married. And the miracle of all of that was the one of the doctors said to me, make sure you get an x-ray of his chest, not only to find out if there's something, anything in the lungs, but I know I broke a rib. I heard it pop. When we got to the hospital, we got the x-ray. There was nothing wrong with his lungs. There was nothing wrong with his brain. And there was nothing broken. A true miracle when you hold space for things to be resolved with grace and love. Was it easy? No, it wasn't easy at all. But it was resolved. Not the way I thought it was going to resolve, and certainly not the way my husband thought it was going to be resolved. But if things are at a point in your life where you just can't take it anymore, hold space for it to be resolved with grace and ease. And you will be amazed at how incredibly creative the universe can be. Don't get locked in. Don't put your blinders on. Don't get locked into what you think is going to happen, but be open to how it's going to show up with grace, ease, and love, holding that space. Because there you will have ultimately what is in your highest and best good happen. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'll keep talking about this subject, but I am just channeling things that have been showing up for me, and I feel like I need to share them with you. So we'll be right back. Hi there, welcome back to the Crystal Coach Show. I'm your host, Anahata, and we're talking about when it's time to say goodbye, but mostly goodbye to the old way of thinking, the old way of believing and doing and being. I just told a very powerful story about how my husband and I reconciled after having, um, years of disagreements between us. It was a very powerful um, and life-threatening situation. But the epilogue here is that I was holding space for this situation between my husband and me to be resolved with grace, ease, and love for 3 to 6 months before this happened. And but it had gotten to the point where I was just like, okay, I have to remove myself from this situation. It's too toxic. I just can't be here with him anymore. And that is when the grace came. The grace in that my affirmation that I did not want him to die. That wasn't what I wanted. My the appearance of three doctors who were 2 tables away having dinner with their wives. And as these doctors were working on my husband, the three women came to me and held space with me while their husbands were trying to save my husband's life. It's angelic. It's truly an angelic kind of grace that brings situations to you when you ask for it, when you are open to receive. When you're full of fear and when you're doubting, you doubt yourself, you doubt the universe, you doubt, that's when the denser energy comes in and puts a barrier between you and the universe's ability to really bring you what you truly need, the highest and best good. I always tell my clients, anytime you're asking for something, anytime you're saying a prayer or you have an intention or you want to manifest something, ask for this or better. What else ever in my highest and best good? I don't I don't have a clue as to all the myriad of multidimensional options that they're out there. I only have those 5 ways to process in my brain, but I'm learning to listen to my heart. And the more I listen to my heart, the more divine wisdom and the more divinely led I can be. My affirmation for this year is my divinely led, aligned actions create my best life. I would encourage you to find an affirmation for yourself that reminds you that you are part of the divine. You are a spark. You are a filament of the light that is within all of us. And yes, we might have some things that divide us in terms of how we look at the world. But I think we can all agree that we love our children, we love our spouses, our partners, our friends. We can all agree that united we stand and divided we fall. So instead of trying so hard to hammer that square peg into a round hole to make it, to by God, make it fit, you're not going to end up with what you started. The peg's not going to be square anymore. It's going to have to conform to the size and the shape of what it's being driven into. Why not recognize that the square and the circle can coexist? Why does one have to be involved in the other? Why do they have to be combined? It's not it's not useful. It's a waste of energy. Your energy is precious, and what you do with it is certainly in this realm your free will and your choice. Nobody's ever telling you what to do. What I'm offering you is a different way to look at it, is a way to see that we don't necessarily all have to agree on every point, but we can agree that we can all love. And that's who we are. We're not hate. We're not fear. Inside, the light that we are is love. And when we allow the darkness of fear and hatred to attach to us and our energy, it pulls the light. It pulls the light, but there's always a spark here. It may not be a roaring fire. It may not be so bright that you have to hide your eyes, but it's there. And if you remember that you are a spark of divine light, then you can allow it to shine. Allow it to grow in you. You can let go. You can surrender how that's supposed to look on the other side. You don't need to script out how things are going to be. If you hold space for things to be resolved with grace, ease, and love, wow, something you may not have ever even conceived of can happen. Holding the frequency of hope and love and watching things happen, but not be attached to them. This helps set the light to share. The more your light shines, the more you reflect the light to others. Do you see? It's like passing the flame. If you have a candle inside you that's burning, and you give that flame to someone else, and they have a candle that's not burning, but they can get theirs lit by you. How beautiful is that? That you have shared light and love and hope within darkness and despair, grief and loss. And you don't have to really do anything or say anything to light someone else's candle. If you are in that space, it just emanates from you. You don't have to work hard. In fact, you don't have to work at all. In fact, if you try, as Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. But I find that egoically trying to push something through puts a barrier in between you and what you want to have accomplished. I had so many things that I wanted to say, so many stories I wanted to tell, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I've made my point. I've got some stones for you. Yeah. I think I'm going to go, let's move into stones right now. I'm just not going to take another break. We're just moving into stones. Okay, so when we're talking about letting go of an attachment to, say, scarcity, like I don't have enough, I'm running out of money, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. If you've heard what I said to you, if you understand that by focusing on something that you're afraid of, you keep yourself locked in the same vibration. Okay. This this is a stone that is an amazing piece of mineral creativity and the work of the divine. It comes from the earth, so it's of the earth, but it's called a chrysanthemum stone. Chrysanthemum stone, it's made of a lot of different minerals, but they're inside are these particles of feldspar and other minerals that create this. Calcite is another. It creates this kind of flower like chrysanthemum, right? Like uh, pattern on the stone. The stone is black, but it expresses the inner crystals in a very beautiful way. Chrysanthemum stone is a stone that helps you to ground. It's also known as a prosperity stone. It's just it's an amazing kind of thing that some people, you know, like shopkeepers and such, have a little chrysanthemum stone. By the way, this was originally found in Japan, but it's found throughout China and some other parts of the world now. But it was kind of a shopkeeper's stone. Um, but you know what's really pretty cool about it is that when you work with it, it can help you to discover and achieve your soul's purpose. It brings a balance between the physical and the spiritual. And so that it encourages you to feel that love and joy I was talking about before, that light within you. And so when I was asking, my body, and I was kind of asking my guidance what stones would be a good thing to talk to and share with about this topic. And this was the one that came up, and I was like, huh. And so, I know stones, but I went and looked it up again because I was like, well, I know it's a prosperity stone, but why would you do that? Because of it bringing balance to both the physical and the spiritual, so that you can benefit by feeling connected to love and joy. It's really an amazing, amazing stone. Chrysanthemum, spelled like the flower, Chrysanthem. Chrysanthemum. It just looks like a little white chrysanthemum. Some specimens just have a little piece of it. This specimen that I actually have is a full flower. So that's a very rare specimen, by the way. Not available in your local gem and mineral shop. Let me see what else I wanted to show you. This is called a stellar beam calcite. Stellar beam calcite. It is a really interesting configuration of calcite. It always has a point. It's usually double terminated, and it has like a star in the top. Probably can't see it in this light, but this is really good at helping you connect to divine will and manifest and access higher knowledge. So start with the chrysanthemum stone. You're going to have to probably go online to try to find it, unless you are familiar with your local area gem and mineral society, they may have a show once a year or such, but that would be how you would find it locally. Or there might be, excuse me, there might be um, some pieces that you could find at your local gem and minerals, crystal shop, if you will, because it's a fairly common. But as I say, the full flower specimen like that, that's a really rare thing, and I was so um, blessed to have had that come into my life. So, but anyway, we're talking about stellar beam calcite right now, and that access to the higher knowledge, the you can see how things are kind of like in alignment with your highest and best good. And when you surrender to divine will and not your will, so as I say, holding space with grace, ease, and love for things to be resolved, that is allowing divine will to work in your life. Stellar beam calcite helps you kind of get in tune with that frequency. So if that resonates with you, that would be a good stone to work with. Okay. And then I have green fluorite. I think I may have shown this to you guys before. Green fluorite. So fluorite, all forms of fluorite are good to help you with discipline and focus, right? Self-discipline. But the green has more heart energy. And so it helps to harmonize the heart and mind to ensure that your actions are aligned with the heart and whatever's in the highest and best good. So all of these kind of work together um, for the highest and best good. Yeah. The last one I have over here is called purpurite. I don't know if I've shown this to you guys before, but purpurite, now my camera may not be showing it to you, but it is purple, like a beautiful deep violet, like a reddish violet purple. It's so beautiful. And it has this kind of a chatoyance, like a sparkle, a flash. That purpurite teaches us how to walk on earth and maintain a spiritual consciousness. It, like the green fluorite, it helps us connect our heads and our hearts so that they're not working at cross purposes, but they're working together for your highest and best good. Remember, the only thing that you have control over is yourself. The only behavior you have control over is your own. So, by working with the chrysanthemum stone, the stellar beam calcite, green fluorite, and the purpurite, it can support you when you're looking at things that it's time to let go, to say goodbye, to not continue running the same patterns or programs that you've been running. And I recognize that a lot of those patterns and programs are not in your conscious realm. They're in your subconscious. But a lot of the work that I do with clients is to help bring that to the surface. What are these underlying programs and beliefs that no longer support you? The beliefs that you have to put yourself last, or the beliefs that you're not as good as someone else. There's so much potential within each one of us if we are opened and cleared of all of those shackles that have been put upon us with programming and beliefs and taking on thought forms that are not in our highest and best good. Those that vibrate with fear, those that vibrate with hate, those that are disgust or despair. The disgust and hatred is what I'm really referring to here, because the self-loathing that I see in some of my clients that come to me and they don't know where to begin. They don't even find themselves worthy enough to even try. If any of this resonates with you, please reach out. I'm here and I am holding space with grace, ease, and love for each one of you and for everyone on this planet to find the light within, to ignite it, and to start to live in the highest and best good. Thank you for listening today. Be sure to tune in the first and third Mondays of the month for the Crystal Coach Show. And if you want to find me, I'm at thecrystalcoach.com. It's HTTPS, thecrystalcoach.com. See you next time. Take care. Shine your light.
You have been listening to The Crystal Coach Show, helping you live every day with clarity, guidance, and practical wisdom. With me, your host, Anahata. Tune in every first and third Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com, where we channel divine wisdom through stories of service, spirituality, and stones for self-care. Feel connected and reside in the vibration of love on The Crystal Coach Show. For more information and to become the best version of yourself, visit thecrystalcoach.com. That's thecrystalcoach.com. See you next time.